It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Due Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you all week? Oh, we started off the week shaking the Monday morning blues as we talked about those gender reveals and baby showers and baby shower gifts and the expectation of the invitees and the hosts. You know, when did we get to a point where baby booties and onesies and pampers and socks and bottles and things like that given from the heart was not good enough? As the Due Time crew has said, no, it's about who can bring the biggest gift, who's going to pay for the things that I can't or am not willing, but I want. So, you know, there's a lot of selfishness and self-centeredness going on. And we found, of course, scripture reference that says, oh, this is the time when people will become lovers of themselves, arrogant, conceited. Yeah, it just goes on, and it just proves the Bible to be true. We got our switch tip for the week with the switch with Shantice. And be careful what you feed. Not only what you feed, but who you feed. Who are you feeding? Again, right in line with our topic for the day. Whereas we're feeding ego, we're feeding people who are selfish. And are we feeding ourselves that inner nasty flesh and spirit? Yeah, and it seems to be the theme for all week. Every time we turn around, we can land on be careful what you feed. Big time, and big time. Oh, we did our My 2 Cents review on Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day of the Netflix movie Ruth and Boaz. And we compared it to the actual biblical story. And you know what? It was a lot in its likeness. We love the twists. We love the customization of, just bringing it to modern day times, because it is a timeless story. We definitely called out the fact that there's a piece in the biblical story that people never talk about. And sure, true to life, the movie did not talk about it either. Very, very interesting. So ladies, when you're talking about trying to find that Boaz, do your research. Do your research and see what you're actually after and what you're expecting God to provide and send you. All right. We had our socially conscious segment this week. We talked about the unemployment benefits in New York State that have jumped a whopping $300 so that the max is $869. And that's not bad. Not bad if you're making pretty good money. We know that still we have a long way to go to meet, what the cost of living is these days. And are we actually ready, willing, and able to work? Are we actually following the standards of the unemployment mandates? Yeah, that's the word I want to use, the mandates of just receiving those benefits. We also talked about the mom who had 8 children at home, and one of the children actually 5 years old, made his way out of the home to a laundromat parking lot, and thank God for the attendant who actually got him to the authorities. And only to find out that mom was out in Brooklyn involved in a robbery at the time. And when approached, she said she didn't have any children. Would not have been nice. Well, we had our girl Athena on with our, health uh, lesson or reminder this month. Yesterday, we got to talking about the fact that, what we put in our body matters. We have to be very careful as to how we eat our breakfast, when and how we eat our lunch, as well as our dinner. And although we've had, we got some, difference in opinions, it's okay, because at the end of the day, we all were talking about the same thing regarding discipline. If you don't discipline yourself to eat healthy, to make sure you eat a balanced meal, to make sure you are exercising, guess what? You're not going to be healthy. You won't lose any weight. You won't make it to the goal that your body needs. Everybody, is a little different. And what works for some may not work for others. Pastor KL says he's disciplined his body to eat rice in the morning. Something that would just rip me apart. So as we can see, like I said, talking to everyone yesterday, we all may have, different of what we need to eat. But at the end of the day, if you do not eat healthy, then you will not be well. And that brings us to today. Freestyle Friday, where we get to do whatever it is we want to do. Well, talk to the men is what we do. And you never know what you're going to get when you talk to the men. So let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Good is best known for her invention of the folding cabinet bed, or what we call the Murphy bed, which made her one of the first African-American women to receive a U.S. patent. Born in 1855, her father was a carpenter and her mother was an activist for the Underground Railroad. Good's family would move to Chicago, Illinois, where she would later meet her husband, Archibald, who was a stair builder. The couple became entrepreneurs, opening up a furniture store on State Street, a thriving retail and business center in Chicago. They mostly served working-class families who lived in very small apartments, and with the limited space, they had very little room for furniture. Recognizing her customers' challenges, Good designed a bed that could fold into a roll-top desk, allowing homeowners to maximize their living space. The desk featured integrated storage compartments, making it a multifunctional piece of furniture when the bed was not in use. This invention was an early precursor to today's Murphy bed and other space-saving furniture designs. Her invention was an early example of space-saving furniture design, a concept that remains relevant even in today's modern urban living. As one of the first African-American women to hold a U.S. patent, Sarah Good paved
good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Freestyle Friday. Woo! What you gonna do this weekend? I am excited. I am excited. It is the end of the week, and I don't know what we gonna do today. Yeah, we always start off with one thing, and we never know where the journey will end up. All right. So before we get started, I gotta say good morning to everybody out there in Due Time World. And make sure you check in, because if you don't, I don't know you're in the room. And if I don't know you're in the room, I can't give you a shout out. So please make sure you check in. I want to say good morning. Oh, first in the room is our boy Terrence. Good morning, Your Highness. Thank you so much for joining us today. How's Mom? Please give her our love. Let her know that we're always here to say good morning. We got a check-in from our girl, Ketty. Good morning, Ketty. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Our boy Serge has checked in. Hey, Serge. What's going on, my brother? Glad to have you in the room. And I'm sure Miss Grace is laying back in the cut. Well, good morning, Miss Grace. I hope that you're doing well today. I hope you're rested and you're ready and geared up for what God has for you today, and that everything goes well. All right. We can't go another further without saying good morning to the ladies that keep us running every other day, holding us down. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. And to our girl Anika. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Again, it's Friday. God has been merciful and gracious to each and every one of us, that He has allowed us to wake up today. He shook us. He set that alarm clock, and He allowed us to answer. All right. So, what are we talking about this morning? You know, every morning we have some trivia. On Fridays rather. We normally have some celebrity trivia, but I could not find any this morning. So I ended up stumbling across some confessions that people have said they have kept some secrets from their siblings, and they may not ever tell their siblings these things, but they're confessing it to us. So let's see what they got. If you've got something that you held from your sibling for a long time, and you finally broke down and you told them, put it in the chat room. Let us know what you're talking about. Let us know what you've been through. Let us know when you got the courage to say that thing that you had been holding on to for so long. All righty. Somebody says that they never told that the cream puffs she made were bland and wonky looking. Yeah, I guess you gotta be careful of, feelings. You don't want to always tell the truth. All right. So I guess that wouldn't be the end of the world either. But maybe for that person it would be, because you're trying to preserve their self-esteem. I don't know. Somebody says, I still owe my brother $5 from 1993. Wow. Well, didn't they loan it to you? So, okay. So, yeah, okay. I get you. Because listen, I don't lend money, because I always forget. I'm probably the richest person in the world right now. I am probably the richest person in the world right now, because if I lend money, I do not go back for it. I don't. Because most times people always say, well, and I'll pay you back on Thursday. I'll pay you back on Tuesday. I'll pay you back next week, Friday. 5 Fridays from now, I'll pay you back. And by that time, I'll be forgot. And if I remember, I'm like, wait a minute. When I talk to you the next time, or like 3 times after that, and it clicks that, wait a minute. She borrowed $5. And she said she was going to pay it back. But she didn't. You just don't get it anymore. Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. So I'm sure they remember by now in 2025 that you still owe them that $5. Well, know that you would not get another $5 from me. No. All righty. I'm the one who called Child Protective Services and got your children taken away. Wow. Must have been some serious stuff. Let's hope. And it's not you being vindictive. I hope not. Let's see what Terrence is saying here. Terrence says you won't be owing him no $5 from 1993. He said, because I'm getting my money. See, Terrence, I need to be you. I need to be you. I need to be you. I'm gonna get my money. So don't borrow money from Terrence, because he's not gonna forget if you're not gonna pay it back on time. Okay. Don't tell him I told you. All right. We got to check in from our girl Tamika. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're talking about those confessions that people are actually revealing now because they kept secrets from their siblings, and they plan on never telling the sibling the secret. All right. Okay. Who says we're all queer? Wow. Both have come out to me individually, and I'm out to both of them, but they both asked me to keep it a secret from the other. Wow. So all three? Wow. Let me read that again. We're all queer. Both have come out to me individually, and I'm out to the both of them. But they both asked me to keep it a secret from the other. Yeah, it's three siblings. Wow. Well, you're the trusted one. You're the trusted one. And he says he's 22 years old. Wow. Okay. All right. During high school and some college years, my brother and I had buddies who used to come by all the time and play. I don't know what this is. Or some other, I guess like a game system. What he may not know is that his best friend and I were fooling around for a few years. If he knew, he didn't say anything. What he doesn't know is all of our other gamer buddies and I hooked up with in random places. Wow. That's too much, right? That's too much. That is way too much. Wow. Confessions. I don't like my brother's girlfriend, and I'm the only one who knows he's planning on proposing to her. Okay, and you can tell that you don't like her. I skinny dip with her husband every Saturday when he's at a weekly company meeting. Afterwards, we go back to my place and Netflix and chill. This has been going on for 3 years, and she has never had suspicions. Come on. Wow. That's not nice. I hate my brother, and I'm going to out him. I hate my brother, and I'm going to cut him off when I inevitably move away. I know it would hurt him to tell him this, but I can't deal with his garbage anymore. I've spent the last 3 years with a worsening anxiety disorder, and he has done nothing but make it worse. Encourage my other family and friends to make risky driving decisions when he knows I hate going super fast. Berating me for not wishing to go on literal cliffs when we ski. I hate him. He can't exhibit basic empathy. I can't wait to never talk to him again. Wow. My dad cheated on my mom, and I'm the only one who knows because she confided in me. I'm the eldest daughter, so when it happened, I was a teen, and my siblings were like 6 and 4 years old. Wow. Wow. Mm. It was pretty wild because she told me all the details, who the other woman was, and what exactly happened. I even remember helping her pack his clothes because she was going to kick him out of the house, but she didn't after all. I hate knowing what happened. I hate being the only one who knows this. And I hate that my mom did that to me so young, but also I kind of understand that she didn't have anyone else to support her. Wow. Mm. I want to finish reading this because I think this is important. She doesn't even realize the impact it had on my mental health and my relationship with my dad and men in general. My siblings adore him, and I know it pisses them off that my relationship with him is weird and that we're not close, but they don't know why, and that makes me so mad. I can't tell them the reason because my mom doesn't want them to hate him. Wow. Woo, what a position to be in, huh? Wow. When I was a preteen, my mother admitted to me that my older sibling was her least favorite. Oof, least favorite. And she felt like my older sibling was actually punishment from God because my mother had 2 abortions before marriage. Oh, wow. Oh. You know, a lot of people make their children pay for their decisions. And that's so messed up. It's so messed up. My secret is that I just don't like my sister. I've really tried over the years, but the truth is she just isn't a very good person. Wow. When we were wee little lads, I dropped a nail file in the toilet bowl and showed it to our father and blamed it on you. So you had to get it out. It was me. Wow. Wow. I found my brother's lost Apple Watch and hid it. To this day, he still doesn't know where it went. Wow. I wonder why. You know, sometimes siblings just do stuff, you know? I lost my virginity to my brother's best friend. To make matters worse, he, the best friend, was very interested in me, but I didn't feel the same and made that very clear. But he fell on hard times and my mom let him live with us, and it was the most awkward I've ever felt in my own home. Wow. During the last week of my grandmother's life, my brother and I used to send her messages because we were out of the country and couldn't go to her, to keep her and ourselves satisfied and mentally positive that everything was going to be all right. The day before my grandmother passed, we had sent her voice messages as we usually do. However, my grandmother passed away before she could hear my brother's message, but she heard mine. To this day, he believes that the last message our grandmother heard was his. I promised myself I'd never tell him. Wow. Okay, wow. I had sex in my sister's bed a couple times when she was out of town. Yuck. My mom and I were in an argument on the way to school when I was 16 or 17. In her anger, she revealed that my dad's mom had made her have an abortion at the beginning of their marriage. It sent me into a total existential crisis when I was still trying to figure out who I was. I would never tell my brother or my dad, for that matter, what she told me that day. What that got to do with you? I don't know. What does that have to do with you? Oh, okay. We'll come back. I still want to know what that got to do with you. She had the abortion at the beginning of her marriage or relationship. What does that got to do with you? Does she treat you any different? I don't know. You know, sometimes people have a knack of making somebody else's problem their problem. I don't understand. I want to talk to my due time crew about it. I'm talking to the guys about it today. Because maybe it's just Stephanie. I don't know. And considering I don't have a real what do you call it? A real topic today. Maybe that'll be our topic. I don't know. It's weird. That's weird. All right, what are we talking about today in our news? Because we do have some celebrity news. Okay, well, this might be interesting for some. So, we know Diddy has been, last week was D-Day for him. And he was sentenced to like 4 years and 2 months, something crazy like that. So now he may be able to shave 12 months a year off that time, where he's really not going to serve going forward those 4 years and 2 months. Yeah, it was like 50 months, because he's already served time, and they're going to put that, they're going to add that or apply that, which is fair. He's been in there, the judge wouldn't let him out. So it's fair that, it gets applied. We know that that's what's, commonly done. But there's a possibility he'll get another 12 months applied to that time if he goes into a drug rehab program. So the judge has offered him the opportunity to be considered for a substance abuse program while he's incarcerated. So this is going to be an intensive 500-hour, 9-month substance abuse treatment program for inmates. And someone who is like a big part of this program, who's a consultant, he says a lot of people quit. They find it hard. He's a former inmate, and he may have gone through the program. And he advises the clients before and after sentencing. He said it helps correct the way you think. Flawed thinking equals bad decisions, and it helps you to work to overcome addiction, and many people love the program. So the judge is actually offering Diddy this option, because Diddy wrote the judge, and he was saying that a lot of his behavior was due to drug addiction. And this is the first time he's been drug-free in, like, he's claiming decades. So he says, for starters, I am now sober for the first time in 25 years. I have been trying my best to deal with my drug abuse and anger issues and take accountability, as well as positive steps towards healing. So the judge is hopeful that if all of this behavior and bad decision making is, it stems from his drug abuse, he's hopeful. He tells Diddy that there is light at the end of the tunnel. excuse me. And he can do it. And he can. You've heard me say what I've said, and I don't take any of it back. But I am definitely a proponent for rehabilitation. I think that most of these inmates need some form of rehabilitation, whether it's from substance abuse, whether it's from anger, whether it's from, abuse that they themselves have endured. I think that when they go in, if it's just not this time that they're serving, we don't owe them anything. I do not believe that. I do not believe the jails owe criminals nothing but confinement, and this is their punishment for crimes that have been committed. But can we do good for the inmates? Absolutely. I think if they were to design more programs, then we would not have so many repeat offenders. There are going to be people who are going to just be criminals. That we just know that, because that's just life, and that's just this world. We're living in a fallen world. But I do think that Diddy does have an opportunity to be rehabilitated, and if he's given an opportunity, then you've been given an opportunity. If you fail, then that's your failure. The system has not failed you either way. If the system doesn't offer you rehabilitation, they don't owe you rehabilitation. However, I think that we can, while we got him up in there, make use of it, because these people can become, like great citizens and offer this world and their communities, a great deal of, assistance, and especially in our younger generation who's really struggling. And a lot of these people are in jail because of what they've done in the communities. So, big up to the judge who is, saying that I want to give him another chance. So good for him. Good for him. What else are we talking about? Those who have Hulu. So we know that Hulu has been in existence since like 2007, and Disney Plus, because it's a bundle, it's a package deal. It's not just Disney, it's Disney and ESPN and Discovery and whatever they're bundling it with these days, because periodically it shifts. Well, I don't know if a lot of you know, but Disney, they've acquired Hulu. So if you have Disney and you go on your Disney app, Hulu is one of your options. So it has like Marvel and ESPN and Discovery, and Hulu is one of the options. Well, as of 2026, Disney has announced that they are canceling Hulu as an independent app altogether. Oh, I see it. It's Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, Hulu. That is one of the options. And as of 26, no more Hulu. So right now, I'm paying for Hulu and I'm paying for Disney. And and it wasn't until like a couple of months ago, I was like, wait a minute, you taking my money twice? Okay, so I'm canceling Hulu. But the only reason why I kind of held on to Hulu is because I actually came in under like a special deal. Yeah, I was paying like $4.99 when everybody else was paying like much more. And when we got the increases, I wouldn't get the increase that everybody else got. So I kind of held on to it. And I noticed that Disney picked up Hulu, and I was kind of contemplating canceling Disney. So I held on to the Hulu. But now that I see that Hulu is now going to become extinct as an independent app, now I'll just cancel it, because I'm paying double and it's like over $20 and it's like dumb. So those of you who might be doing the same thing, which is why I'm telling you the story, cancel Hulu, because as of 2026, which is only going to be in a couple of months, it's going to be canceled anyway. So you might as well cancel it now. and it is going to be a permanent part of their options. Like I said, so you got Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, Hulu. All right, so and you'll get everything that Hulu is offering independently. It will be a part of Disney. You just have to go through the Disney app Plus app. Okay, so save your dollars, do timers. Disney has now decided to make the Hulu app extinct. All right. What else are we talking about? Oh, scandal. Oh, now I don't know how many of you love P-Valley. I'm sorry. I do. It's lewd. It's crazy. It's like everything nasty, but I love it. I love the storyline. Okay. So for those of you who have watched P-Valley and trying to figure out what happened, how come they never came back? Yo, I've been trying to figure out, and it's like, when are they going to bring it back? Well, why y'all didn't fill me in on this? Because I definitely did not know that the reason, well, I'm just saying this, but let me go back. So a couple of years ago, Nikki Gilbert. Now, those of you who know Nikki Gilbert, she's from Brownstone, and she's just, she is like trouble. And I remember her being trouble from, what's the name of that show, Shantice? Divas, R&B Divas. And she she was trouble then, she was trouble before, she's been trouble since. Now, I had no idea that the creator of P-Valley, Katori Hall, has been in litigation with Nikki Gilbert because Nikki Gilbert claims that Katori stole her idea and script of P-Valley. Now, the name of Nikki's her story and her work is called Soul Kittens Cabaret. And she claims that Katori, let me see how she writes it, infringed on her copyrighted work from her past production. And this has been going on for a couple of years. So they went to court and they said that Katori was not guilty of stealing this concept, Soul Kittens Cabaret, from Nikki Gilbert. So Nikki decided that in 2024, she would go to the Circuit Court of Appeals panel of judges to make this claim to them that she stole her concept, stole her all the similarities and the storyline and everything from Katori, stole it from her. Well, they have denied her appeal. Yeah, they said no. They said that there's no way that being that Katori never saw or read or heard of Soul Kittens Cabaret, that she stole her concept for P-Valley. Now, here's the thing. Katori went back. She said she found an early draft of her play. It was a play that she wrote, and it was called P-Valley with the words spelled out. And from 2009, So she found an email that she sent herself, and she said as she was reading it, she marveled at the fact that the dialogue and Uncle Clifford and Miss Mississippi and Mercedes and Autumn, like all of that was actually kind of like the same. So when she actually wrote the script for the TV show, excuse me, she was really kind of shocked. And I know what she means because I've done it. I've written something, and then like years later I go back and I was like, wow, I was thinking about that back then. It's the same thing I'm thinking about now. So, you know, it's like once it's birthed in you, it's like kind of lies dormant in you. Now they say throughout this deposition that she was pulling out all of this stuff, and she even sent like little bits of it to Nikki. Yeah, surprisingly, she sent a few of those things to her. She said she had like over 16,000 pages, drafts for the play, for television. She said she got treatments and everything she had kind of tucked away. She said to make Nikki feel a little better, she started, you know, she sent her little bits and pieces and snapshots to kind of show her that, hey, you know, your baby is your baby. My baby has been my baby since 2009. And Nikki was like, no, I'm not. So now that they have declined her from, you know, appealing, they're like, all right, no. The first set said no. They said they couldn't even get a jury to, sign off on this, on the fact that this woman never read your Soul Kittens Cabaret. She never had any like interaction with you. So where are you making these claims from? And she is like real upset. She's real upset. She says, I will never accept that I lost a case that was never allowed to go before a jury after 5 years of litigation. What I will accept is that I cannot fix a broken system alone, nor convince those with more power and privilege to stand beside me against billion-dollar bullies. The reality is simple. When 99% of plaintiffs lose against Hollywood, it's not because all of them were wrong. It's because the system is. Until that changes, I'll continue to fight for reform, fairness, and the right of every creator to be heard. Now, in May, they ordered Nikki Gilbert to pay the studio $170,000 for legal fees because she sued Stars, I think it was Lionsgate, and Katori Hall. She sued everybody. So she's now being mandated to pay the legal fees, $170,000 for the studio's legal fees. And I'm sure she's not happy about that. But this is probably why Katori Hall couldn't release another season, because if it's in litigation that was stolen work, they're not going to let you put that work out there. You know what I'm saying? And being that she was suing Lionsgate and Stars, I think it was Lionsgate and Stars, they're not gonna put anything out there, because if they ended up losing, then they'd really have to pay for putting out work that was stolen. So when I stumbled upon this, I was like, whoa. But you know, it's the same way. I don't know if you remember, we did the story on the guy who sued, what's his name, 50 Cent, because he said he was the real ghost. And it was his story. So I don't know what these people are thinking. You know, if I never met you, so what'd you do? Put your work out there on Reddit? What'd you do? Put your work on Facebook? That I now took it and, you know, I'm going to make this whole series. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. People are crazy. People are crazy. So let me get one story from our thing that we can talk about. Oh, let's see. There's this 22-year-old guy who goes to a school in Minnesota, and he enrolls as a, let me see, 17-year-old, and he starts going to school. He takes a birth certificate, all the credentials that he needs, and it's from another country. The credentials are from another country. They claim that it had all the watermarks and it was valid. That's what they're claiming. But Mr. Kelvin was in there sexually assaulting the students. Now, this is what he enrolled for, clearly. So the girls started talking because he was making his way through multiple girls, and they started telling their parents, and some contacted the police, claiming that he was texting them, messaging them on social media. One parent said that her daughter recognized this guy's mugshot as a guy named KP who was going to her high school. And when they found out about what he was doing, they issued a warrant. Now, here's the problem. The warrant is issued, but they can't arrest him on some technicality. Yeah. And now he's free, and he can do this again. Whether he goes into the school and does it again or whatever this is, he's actually free. Now, they've got this Who Shot John going on because the superintendent is blaming this one, and the state rep is blaming this one. And so they're throwing mud on one another. And they're like, how could he fraudulently enroll in school? Who enrolled him? You know, he enrolled himself as a homeless child looking to go to school. He registered for the football team. He had been attending football practices, but he never played. Who's to blame is the question. Because, man, when I tell you they're slinging mud all over the place, they are slinging mud all over the place. Where is my boy Ainsley? Okay, there we go. Good morning, Brother Ainsley.
Hey, good morning, Pastor Steph. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. I'm all right. I'm all right. So before we start, let me read some of my comments here. I didn't realize I had comments. So
Okay.
yes, thank you. She will now cancel her Hulu subscription. And Anika says they want to stay with Disney after they canceled their DEI efforts. So do you have Hulu independently?
No. Listen, I told you I'm gonna give y'all a hookup. Because the service I use, they're not accepting any more customers right now. But whenever they do open up, or they have a sister site that opens up, generally it's like $18 a month, and you get everything. When I say everything, you get completely everything.
Wow.
Everything on live TV, the pay-per-views, all that kind of stuff like that. And so whenever it opens up, I'll let you know. But it's got to be done like right away, because it only opens maybe for a couple of days. But with that, that's the service I tend to use. And and I use YouTube TV. So all those different things like the Paramount, your Hulu, I just use that one. It kind of covers everything.
Wow.
So
All right.
yeah.
So let us know. Give us the hookup when it comes live.
Yeah.
Let us
It happened a
know.
couple of times, but I was out of town when I saw the message. I was like, oh, it's too late. So whenever it
Okay.
comes up, I'll definitely let you know. But you got to take advantage of it right then. It can't be like I'll get to it tomorrow. It's you can't, and it's legal. It ain't like no sites. It ain't Pookie in them. It ain't a Pookie in them hookup.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to hearing about this.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm definitely interested. So you've got this 22-year-old who takes credentials. He goes to the school. He signs up to he enrolls in school as this homeless boy who wants to go back to school. He signs up for the football team. He attends some of the football practices, but he doesn't play in any games. But all the while he's assaulting the girls in the school, which is why he really registered. So some of the girls went to parents, some of them contacted the police. They were able to show text messages and things like that to show that he was actually engaging with the students. But here's a problem. So they put him out. They got a warrant. Now, I don't know what happened, but they could not push it too far because they could not prove a whole lot. So they had to release him. Now the superintendent, the state rep, the principal, this one is who shot John. Now the mud is slinging everywhere. The state rep is saying get rid of the superintendent. The superintendent saying get rid of the principal. Principal saying get rid of the person who enrolled him. Who do you blame ultimately for this?
And all that blame stuff. The answer is real simple. It's really simple. You talking about the principal, superintendent, yada yada yada. They got this 22-year-old man is fraudulently getting in a high school, messing around with 16, 17-year-old girls. Right. So my thing is rather simple. I'm like, yo, where the real fathers at? I think we kind of talked about this before about fathers and their daughters. I'm like, this is the easy situation. If I find them, that's it. The situation's gonna be handled. You don't have to worry about sending them back. You ain't gotta worry about none of that. Where are the real fathers at? Where the real men at? That's what I want to know. I ain't want to talk about no principal, superintendent, the board, who, where he got the documents from. Where the real man at? That's all I really want to know. That's the answer right there.
Wow.
I mean, out of all them girls, ain't no real man out there. Where this happened at?
In Minnesota.
Ain't no real men in Minnesota?
One of the smaller towns in Minnesota.
Ain't no real men in no small towns out there? Y'all better stand up, man. What's going on, man? Come on. And maybe that's why he maybe feel he can get away with it. I think largely people who do stuff like this, they get away with it because they feel they feel they can get away with it. I bet you if there was some real men and if he came around the real men around the girls, it may be a different situation. So but I think the fix is easy. Real men stand up and handle that situation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's how I do it.
Brother Ainsley's on a roll. He's on a roll. Tamika says, why couldn't they catch him on statutory alone? That's the problem because the girls are making accusations, but there's no proof. So they have text messages and things like that he's communicated with them, but clearly the communication has not revealed, we did this in the park. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't say any of that. It just shows that there's interaction with the girls. But right now, I believe it's he say, she say. So
that's all you need to me. If you got a pattern, if you do it more than one, and he ain't supposed to be in the first place.
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree. I agree that, listen, you registered. You registered as a 22-year-old impersonating a student. That automatically shows that, and you're interacting with these girls. But you know what? The proof has to be there. So
I'll
let's
say
see.
lock him up. Let him spend a few days inside. Let him know what he's in there for.
Boy, don't mess with the kids when it comes to Ainsley.
No, don't mess with the kid. No. I'm serious. And that's a code with that. You don't mess with do stuff like that. Come on now. That's a code. Yeah. So he got to feel that. No.
Okay. Let's see what Pastor Jeff says.
Yeah, I know what he's gonna say. I know what my brother's gonna say.
Pastor
You're gonna pull up a story of his already.
Let me get you up in here. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
Good morning. How are you?
What up, bro?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
All right. So you've heard the dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
They're slinging mud all over the place. State rep says superintendent needs to go. Superintendent says principal needs to go. Principal says, who enrolled this kid?
Come on, bro. I know how you gonna handle
this man. Get rid of them. Who's to blame is the question.
How you gonna handle that, bro?
Well, first,
listen, Ainsley, don't be pushing our Pastor Jeff to be doing some stuff.
First of all, you have to look at Minnesota. That probably the age of consent is probably 16. Because New York is 17. So Minnesota might be 15 or 16. That's the technicality that they might get the guy, because he's 22, but these girls are at the age of consent. So the only thing they could probably get him on is actually, the using false identification or about his age.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Enroll in school. But second of all, he, I would want them to let him out if it was my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't want them to lock him away.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't get to him in there.
Oh my God.
See what I'm saying? I know it.
You wouldn't have to worry about the laws with that one. Now,
that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't kill him, but he wouldn't walk again, and he wouldn't be able to use that thing again.
Is that the church they say amen?
Lord have mercy. Whoa.
Not if you, because my thing is, even if my daughter consented, you deceived her. You a grown man. You got skills. You can seduce a young girl. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get you for it. I'm gonna get you for it.
See there?
Whoa. Where's my brother Al?
We all talked about this before, man. All right.
Because I would love, before I put after you two, before I put Pastor KL on, I would want to put Brother Allen. So
yeah, get the basketball star on here. Right? Yeah, that's what he got to say.
He's in and out. I don't know if he's having difficulty, but I ain't got no other choice. I gotta add Pastor KL after. Woo! All right, so Pastor Jeff and Brother Ainsley have said, woo, they in trouble out there in Minnesota. Look at this one chewing. Chicken in the bowl.
Chicken wings.
Oh my goodness. All right, Pastor KL, we know you're doing well because you're over there chewing. What say you? Who's to blame?
Well, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Let me get that out first. I love the Lord. He heard my cry. But somebody gonna be crying. Listen, I am the principal. Because just on principle, I'm gonna have to kill him.
Oh,
just on principle. So you want to blame somebody? Blame the principal. That would be me. There'd be no way in the world. We would listen. I wouldn't be going to court. I'd be the guy in court. You ever see those court shows and the parents or the brothers are flying over to get that? That'd be me. That'd be me.
Wow. Oh
yeah,
my goodness gracious.
Romeo must die.
Oh,
How about that?
oh my goodness. Oh, all right. That's 3 for 3. Let me see what Brother Al's got to say this
That's
morning.
right. Get the basketball star. Come on now.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, Brother Al.
Top of the morning, top of the morning.
How are you?
Everything's everything.
What up, bro?
So
What's going on, fellas?
You heard the
All right, how you doing?
dilemma, correct?
No, so I missed the story because my internet was acting up on my computer, so I had to switch to my phone. So I missed the story.
Okay, so here's the story.
All right, you're gonna be
Out in
unbiased. I ain't gonna
Minnesota,
push him. Say nothing.
There's a 22-year-old young man who has impersonated an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old, and has enrolled in a high school out in Minnesota. He's got documents that had watermarks and, it all appeared valid. So he got into the school. He enrolled for football. He was going to class. He played, he went to football practice, but he did not play. He didn't play in any games, but he did go to the practices, only to find out that he was in there sexually assaulting the female students.
Wow.
And they saw some text messages and some other, documents. Clearly, it wasn't incriminating enough because although they got a warrant and they arrested him, they had to let him go because there's no proof that although the girls are saying it happened, a few of them told parents, a few of them went directly to the police. They had to let him go because they had no physical proof that any of this was happening. So now the state representative is he's slinging mud. The superintendent is slinging mud. Principal slinging mud. Everybody's saying, get rid of so-and-so, get rid of so-and-so, because this is serious. It shouldn't happen. Who's to blame? So your brothers have spoken. We're not going to say what they said, but in your opinion, who's to blame?
I'd say that the guy who's the student, he's to blame. Because if you come to the school and you give me these documents that got the watermarks and stuff, I'm thinking this, is a good thing. Okay, you gave me all the evidence that this is who you are, this is your birthday. It's the dude for who did nonsense, the 22-year-old. Because the superintendent, all of them, they gonna point fingers because they ain't trying to lose their job. So they gonna keep pointing down, no, this person. The principal gonna say, well, it's the administrative staff in the school because they took the document. But if you come to me and you give me these documents and I see the watermarks and everything, I'm believing, okay, he's 17 or he's 18. It says on his birth certificate. It says it on his document. So it's the young man's fault.
Okay. So you're the only one here who did not threaten a life.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question: how would you handle it if that was your daughter?
Oh, my daughter, I'm going to the post. The Christian way, I'm gonna go to the cops. Go to the cops in the Christian matter.
Okay.
Hey, wait. Let me say this. I'm gonna go the Christian way too. You going to the cross? I'm going to the cross. There's room at the cross.
Oh my gosh. Woo! Well, thank God that you are the one who, at least publicly, at least openly, you're saying that you would do the Christian thing. All right, we got to check in from our Pastor Charlene. Good morning, Pastor Charlene. Pastor Charlene must only like y'all, because Pastor Charlene don't log in all the time during the week, but on Fridays. So she must be logging on today. Thank you for joining us, Pastor Charlene. Good to see you. All right, so there's another story that President Trump, is saying that the women in Chicago are wearing MAGA hats and they want the troops in Chicago, that they are I'm gonna officially pull up this this article. He says black women in Chicago are wearing MAGA hats, and that they're approaching him about getting the troops into Chicago because they don't feel safe, and they are relying on this method in order to make them feel more comfortable in Chicago. And the opposite side is saying, you must be kidding me, that you have the voting, when the voting took place in Chicago, they are Democrat. It's a Democrat state. And 82% voted Democrat. So who are these women that he claims are wearing the MAGA hats and want the guards to come in so that they can feel comfortable and they can feel safe? Which side do you believe, Brother Al? I'll start with you.
It's the people that he paid. Very, very simple. The people he gave the cash to. I need y'all to put these hats on. I need y'all to speak up, because he's good for doing that. Trying to paying people to get what he wants.
Okay. All right. Brother Al says, if they're wearing them, it's because he's paid them to wear them. Pastor Jeff, what say you?
Them women want some men. So they're putting on them hats to get them troops there because they tired of the dudes that are there. Okay? That's what's happening. They want the men to come to town. All right? So that's what that's about. Okay? It's a lure. Come on.
All right. Woo! Interesting concept. Pastor Jeff, I didn't even think about that one. All right. Brother Ainsley.
Like, what's the question? Do I believe him?
Right. Which side do you believe? Do you believe that there are women that are actually wearing the MAGA hats?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I hardly be most of the stuff that Trump says. A lot of stuff is a lie. And what one thing the enemy does, he like to mix truth with the lie. But in the Trump case, it's mostly lie with a little bit of truth in it. And so remember, the Haitians are eating dogs and stuff like that. He's been saying stuff like this all the time. Most of the time he's not really making sense. He would tell you, I'm wearing a red shirt and a yellow hat. You can't believe what he says and whatnot. But they say it so convincingly, and people will follow right behind him. Yeah, I saw that, blah, blah, blah. Or just because he say it, you're supposed to take it as truth and just go along with what he wants done. But nah, if it happened, where are these women at? If you see a bunch of black women with MAGA hats on, it should be all in the news and stuff like that. That ain't happening. Come on. In Chi-Town? No.
Okay.
That's like New York. You're going to see a bunch of black women wearing MAGA hats.
Okay.
Nah.
Pastor KL.
I hate to say it, fellas, but I believe him to some point. Listen, how many of us black folks voted for him? We ain't see him, but we know they voted for him. That's why he in office. There's some of us stupid black and brown people who fall for the okie doke. So I think there's still some of us, in spite of what it looks like, who's still saying that he's the best. So yeah, I think there could be a few.
All righty. Well, the women weren't voting for him. The black and brown women weren't voting for him. It was the black and brown men, who were voting for him. But you didn't really find any black and brown women who were voting for Trump. I agree that, there were, because we know, we read the articles, we talked about it many times, that there were people who believed in what he was saying and thought that, there was a way out with him, that he was a better choice than Kamala. But it wasn't the women. I never read an article where there were any women. I seriously doubt, that there are women that are actually black and brown women who are actually wearing MAGA hats because they want, the forces and the troops and SWAT and all of them to invade Chicago. I doubt. Listen, when they invade Chicago, who they coming after? Their husbands, their sons, their brothers, their fathers. Those women ain't calling no Trump's people into, or the armed forces into Chicago. Not Chicago. Now, maybe if it were Minnesota, I believe it. But I don't personally. I don't believe Chicagan women are wearing any MAGA hats. Make America great again. Make America great again does not benefit us.
Yeah, or it may be like 1% or 2% of the women out there who may do stuff like that. Of course, they're gonna highlight that 2% as though they are the majority.
Right.
Now, I
Right.
have seen some black women who were in agreement to the ICE coming into their area because they said like in one particular project is mostly gang infested, and they really say they need that, and so unless you're really there, the neighborhood and how things are really being run, you really can't tell what the conditions are. We like from the outside looking in, but some say yeah, but we do in certain areas. There's certain tenants buildings that's completely overran by immigrant gangs, so it's desperately needed. So you see how there's two sides of it and stuff like that. But by and large, black women wearing MAGA hats, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. If there are, they're very few, but it definitely ain't gonna be no huge amount of women. Pastor Charlotte says, I love all the Due Time family. Well, thank you very much. We're happy to hear that. All right, so I have a question about our penal system. So we know that there was a sentencing last week to 50 months for Diddy, and now he has an opportunity to get a year shaved off of his time if he attends a drug rehab program. Now, there's a consultant who says that a lot of people quit because they find it hard, as it's an intensive 500-hour, 9-month substance abuse treatment program for inmates. And the judge has offered him the opportunity to attend this program because Diddy has claimed that his outbursts and his behavior. I want to read his statement again. For starters, he wrote this letter to the judge. He says, for starters, I am now sober for the first time in 25 years. I have been trying my best to deal with my drug abuse and anger issues and take accountability as well as positive steps towards healing. And the judge is hopeful, as he has told Diddy, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And he feels that if he goes through this program, that he will come out on the other side much better. Now, do you feel, because some people feel that the penal system, the jail system owes those who are incarcerated a rehab rehab program. So whether it's for alcoholism, anger problems, whatever you're in there for. If you're rapist, pedophile, whatever, sexual assault individual, they should offer you a program. Some people literally feel that the Department of Corrections owes these people, these criminals who have been found guilty, they literally owe them some type of rehabilitation. What do you think, Brother Al?
Absolutely. Because if you just say, for instance, a pedophile is put on, he gets sentenced. Okay, you got, let's say, 8 years. You go in 8 years, you come out, you still a pedophile. You didn't get no help for your problem. So they definitely should offer a program. I honestly don't think they should shave no time off. You did the crime, you do the time, but during that time, you should be rehabilitated. Whatever your issue is, you need to go into that program to help you with that situation. So when you get out, you can be a better person.
Okay. Why does the penal system owe these people? We're talking about owe versus offer. Why do you feel they owe these criminals this?
I don't think that they owe them. I think they should offer it. I don't think they owe you. Why? You the one went out and did this, so why should I owe you? But I don't think they should owe them. I think they should offer it to them, though.
Okay, that's the
And
question. Do they owe
yeah.
it to them? Because there are certain people who feel like it's owed. They're in there, y'all owe them this, blah, 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 versus, you're in here, we're going to offer this, like the judge is offering, this opportunity for Diddy to go through this substance abuse program. Okay.
And I don't think that they owe them, but honestly, I think it shouldn't even be something offered. It should be mandatory. You are a pedophile. When you get in here, you're going to do your 10 years. During them 10 years, you are mandatorily to go to this program to help you. So when you get out, you won't commit the same crime. That's why we have so many people come out and become repeat offenders. It shouldn't even be off. It's mandatory that you go. You having a problem, and it's mandatory. If you do not go, then the more you don't go, then the more time you spend in prison till you say, okay, I'm going to participate.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, do you feel that the Department of Prisons owes rehabilitation, regardless of what your issue is, or should it be offered or none?
Well, I kind of feel like this. Is it? Do they owe it to the defendant? No way. It's not. It shouldn't be owed. The duty is to the general public, the safety of the general public, and I think as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. Now, if there's a means to by answering counseling or offering some services, not just pedophiles, some job training. So maybe somebody will come out with some more skills. If there's a way to reduce recidivism, people coming back, I think we definitely need to explore that for the general public, as a duty to the general public. But as do you owe the defendant? Then no, the only thing they owe is some jail time. But the concern is them coming back into the public, and that's where the concern is. So you don't want a criminal going in and an even worse one coming out. So the idea is to reduce that, further crimes and stuff like that. Prevent. It's more preventative and stuff like that. And it's kind of hard to quantify that. How much money gets spent to that and how much is really being reduced. But it should be an effort for that. And in reality is, even though the percentage may be very low to those who take advantage and do benefit from it and don't go back to prison, but however way it helps, I think we need to explore it. But it's not as a duty to a defendant. It ain't to them. It ain't for their benefit. Okay. Well, it is for their benefit, but the reason behind it, it's really for the public. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Pastor Jeff, do you feel that they're owed or it should be offered or neither one?
I I I wouldn't say old, but it definitely should be offered because the penal system claimed to be a rehabilitation system. So you need to do rehabilitation stuff. When we know it really isn't. They just some money thing, and they just want to stack bodies. But yeah, it should be mandatory that they go through that program and all that. Now, as far as the pedophiles going through some program, it should be a torture program every day they in there. Electric shock, or something.
Oh my goodness. What's electric shock gonna do to them, brother Pastor Jeff?
Make them think about what they've done every day they in there. All right. You
Mm,
touch a baby, you need to be electric shock every single day.
mm. Wow. Wow. We got to check in from our girl Kyra. Good morning, Kyra. Thank you for joining us this morning. So we have this. Okay, so the three of you feel the way I feel. I do feel that we don't owe them anything but some punishment for the crimes that they've committed. So let's talk about that. That's even um, that has become debatable, where people feel like what's okay. So Pastor Jeff is already he's already put out there what he feels the pedophiles should receive. But what are we talking about? Is the bare minimum? Is there a bare minimum? Is it? We know that they claim the food isn't good, and some people say, well, you should not get top shelf stuff, and some people are like, well, we're not talking about top shelf, we're just talking about decent. What are we talking about here? So let's go with let's go with the school shooters. Let's use them. Let's go with the school shooters. When they go to jail, who should they be with? What block, what cell block should they be on? Let's start with that one. Brother Al, what cell block does the school shooter belong on? Should it be an age thing? Should it be a level of how many people you've killed? Should it be the type of weapon you used? What cell block do they belong on?
They belong on Bubba's cell block.
Mm-hmm.
They belong on Big Bubba's cell block. It should have them there B block. B block, Bubba's cell block. But um you did a school shooting, no matter how many you killed, or maybe you didn't kill anybody, you just shot some people. You belong. I don't know too much about prison, but as far as the cell block, but yeah, they should be in the area, and like you said, let's just say cell block A. That's people who did school shootings, like you said, and so this whole group here again will go to a to like a class, like to say, okay, what made you do this shooting? What was in your mind to make you say, I need to shoot these people, and start rehabilitating them?
Okay. Pastor Jeff, where
Yes.
do they belong? Who do they belong with? Because you have this conversation that takes place. If they're young, put them with their age. Others say no, they committed the crime of older people. Put them together. What are we talking about here, as far as you're concerned?
Well, if you're talking about the school shooters, they went in there killing kids and everybody, you know, and they should be with the worst criminals that you can find. And you need to house them with them because they're another ones that need to be tortured the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? You come in there and shoot up my kid in the school, helpless. Come on, man. Nah, man. You know, I don't even want you to die. I get mad when they commit suicide and they kill themselves, man. You know, let them live and torture them. So put them with the worst folks.
Okay, okay.
Don't let Pastor Jeff be the warden.
Brother Ainsley, what are we talking about here?
I agree with my brothers. You know, I would even say regular gym pop. They need to go be around with the worst for the worst. They don't know where it's coming from. I don't think it should be no special treatment. They should be hanged just with the rapists or the murderers, or they just need to hang with all of them. I mean, you want to be that random to just kill anybody that random? You should go and catch it randomly, stuff like that. I don't give them no special treatment. You know what I'm saying? And the only ones who I think they really give maybe special treatment to is, like your high profile people, like celebrities who get caught up in there. So, like a Diddy, they don't want to keep him out of general pop. But school shooters, no matter what, man, you gotta do your time, man, and be fearful, because you need to be, because my little terror you did to our youngest, our most vulnerable, our most innocent, and just gonna shoot up a school. Come on. And no, so you need to go see Bubba, do a pass with Warden Jeff, and then put him in gym pop.
Oh my goodness. All right. So let me ask you. You brought up something interesting. Are you saying that celebrities should be separated, or you're just using it as an example?
I'll use that example why they are generally separated from general population, because a lot of people, they're just going to try to get to them just because they're a celebrity. They need to do their time, period, too. But I think that sometimes they get privileges. They're not, because they're sectioned and warding off, they're doing their time, but they're not doing as hard of a time like everybody else, because a lot of people won't want to get to them, just because they're celebrity. Somebody would want to have that bragging right. Oh yeah, I got the Diddy, or want to shank him, or the case may be. They just want the bragging right. Particularly lifers, they ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to prevent that, to save face, to the whole correctional facility and whatnot, because it's going to come out. Why did you put him in general population where he could be harmed? The purpose of them is to do time. So you don't want them to. You want them to do all that time. Don't give them a benefit of dying too early. So
Well, that's his business. He shouldn't have did the crime. That to me, that's special treatment. That's special treatment. You saying, okay, you know what? Let me put you over here because you may get harmed over here. That is your problem. You shouldn't have did the crime. You did the crime. You go in prison and be around everybody. Ain't that right, Warden Pastor Jeff? Warden Pastor Jeff, ain't that right? And prison should be horrible so that they don't come back. I know I shouldn't do it, but I do that in school. When they put me in charge of detention, I make it the worst day of those kids' life. When they come in there, they be, hey, Mr. B. I say, I'm not Mr. B. I'm a different person. You in trouble, don't say nothing to me. And I make it rough so they don't come back. And you have kids that sit there, no, I'm not going back to detention. Mr. B is crazy. And that's how prison should be. I got friends I know that some of them are having a hard time. And when it gets like now, it's starting to get cold outside, they know what crime to do and what to do to have free room and board for the winter and be out during the summer. No, prison should be a place you say, I don't want to go back that way. I don't care if you're a celebrity, president, I don't care who you are. Put them in general population like everybody else.
I agree, but that's what happens, though. I know that section them off and whatnot. And what Pastor?
Yeah, what say you, Pastor Jack?
What say you, Warden?
First of all, I couldn't be no warden. But there is just certain things that you do, all right, that literally I think we too soft, here in America. We too soft on it, you know. So
Okay, wait, don't go there because that's my next question. That's my next question. So don't go there. But answer whether you feel the celebrities, because of what Brother Ainsley says, we need to kind of section you off to preserve your life, because even for bragging rights, people are pretend it's what's your boy from Brooklyn?
from Brooklyn, you
Yeah,
mean
what's your boy
what,
from Brooklyn?
you mean the
You.
preacher?
No, you. What's your boy? Carter. Jay-Z.
Oh, that ain't my
Pretend
boy.
it's Jay-Z going to jail.
That ain't my boy. I wouldn't want to be his warden because I got a beef from a long time with him.
That's why I said pretend it's him.
Yeah.
Pretend it's him. He's done something to go to jail. Does he get segregated, or does he stay in general population?
You have to segregate him. I mean, because you're giving him you possibly giving him a death sentence if you don't, and unless he did a crime that warrants a death sentence, then you have to segregate him. And the same thing with all those celebrities. Unless they did a crime that warrants the death penalty, you got to protect them because they too known, and somebody's gonna want to make a name for themselves. So you send them to his death if you don't protect them. You know.
I'm surprised that you, Warden.
Okay, so although I understand what you two are saying in regards to, what they just targets, just because, people just want the ability to say, they do it for free. Like Brother Ainsley said, just for the bragging rights, because they up in there, as lifers. But my question then becomes, well, I'm with Brother Al that says, okay, so I do crime like everybody else, and now I get segregation, I get special treatment, because regardless of whether it's for their best benefit or not, at the end of the day, it is still special treatment. Because if Pookie came up in there, you ain't looking to separate him. Now, I do know that they do that for gang purposes. At the end of the day, it is still special treatment. Because if Pookie came up in there, you ain't looking to separate him. Now, I do know that they do that for gang purposes. Yeah, we always get that back with that reverb with him for some reason.
Brother A, is that you?
Nah, bro.
We know it's you, Pastor KL. I do know that you're right.
Yeah,
If you
I couldn't get in. It kicked me out.
Because you don't know how to behave. I'm just teasing. But it at the end of the day, it does become special treatment, because we're concerned about you and we're not concerned about the other ones because you got a name. You know what I'm saying? So, it's kind of touchy, because you did the crime. You ain't think about the segregation or separation when you out there committing the act. But now that you up in here, we got to preserve your life by separating you. And I don't know. I'm with Brother Al, Pastor KL. We're talking about when we go to prison. When you go to prison, and right now where we are is when a celebrity goes to prison, they get separated. Should they be separated for the concern of their safety, or they've done the time, put them with general population and take the chance? Pretty much. He's gone. We don't know if he's going to be back. All right.
He's a general population.
Let's go to our next question. What's the bare minimum? That's another argument that's out here. What's the bare minimum? Some people say give them what does it say? Three hots and a cot. Other people say it doesn't matter whether the food is top notch or not. If it's slop, then It's slop, and you're gonna have to deal with it. What say you, Pastor Jeff? We're gonna start with you. What's the bare minimum of what a criminal should be entitled to, regardless of the crime?
Regardless of the crime. Well, I'm gonna be a little. You gotta. There's, believe it or not, there's a lot of innocent folks mixed in with guilty folks.
I believe it. I
And
believe
Yeah, I was
it.
gonna really talk about that, but go ahead. Yeah.
especially us of color, you know, and you see. So I think you should give them, be humane and give them, like they don't have to have lobster, and caviar, but give them, what they normally eat, basically, normal people eat. Don't throw slop to them, because really the system is all messed up, and a lot of the folks that's in there, they wouldn't be in there if they had some money.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, what say you? Listen, give them the bare minimum, or we've heard. I'll never forget my 36 hours. And when when they were passing out the food, my first problem was the inmate was passing out the food. That was my first problem. I don't want nothing you didn't made or nothing you didn't help with. I just don't. That was my first problem.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, when one of the women asked, she was like, well, she said, you're not gonna go up there because you were supposed to go up to the gate to get your food. And she said, you're not going up there? I said, no, I don't want it. She said, can you go there for me? Because I'm hungry. So I started not to, but I was like, well, I ain't hungry, but she is. I'll go. She wasn't like Bertha, like she wasn't, can you go up there and get my food? It was a humble request. So I
Have your cornbread.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
So I went and I got the sandwich bag that had the hardest bread I've ever felt in my life. It was beige, and not because it was wheat. It was beige. It was hard. It was cheese cut this thick, and I was like, Jesus, just kill me. Thank you for me not being hungry, because I guess I'd be fasting right now. And I took it and I gave it to her, and she ate it. And I said to myself, I said, why? Just like, you all said, there are innocent people here. We all have to be subjected to this. So we do know that that they do not give you food that's even edible, much less anything else. So what are we talking about here? What's the basic for people who are in there? Is it okay to give them food that's just beneath humane, or should there be some standard? And people are saying, well, you shot up all them kids in the school, you shouldn't even eat. What are we talking about here?
I think there should be a standard. At least here in the United States, we're supposed to be. We have a semblance of civility. We should have a level of standard of care. Otherwise, it would just be just plain mayhem. There should be a certain level of food. I mean, it's very easy because to me, particularly concerning most of the time, those who are innocent who are in there, they're people that look like us. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to say, like, okay, they're going to subject them to the most harshest treatment and they shouldn't be there. Now, for those who did the crime, they need to do the time. But, I remember it was a long time ago. It was a black judge. I think his name, I think it was Bruce White. Back in the day, I think you used to call him, let him loose Bruce. All right. Because he had a tendency to say he was let black defendants release them on recognizance and whatnot, because they let white people go out for the simplest things. So you say, I'm gonna let black people go out on a. It should be a balance. The same thing where population where it is more the treatment where white inmates get should be the same thing where it's mostly black inmates get. So there should be a certain standard of food, but it ain't going to be, gourmet. You know, it might not be. It should be a certain nutritional value. Cause let's face it too. I do know, like for the health, because as inmates get older, as we get older, our body may need medication. So you're not getting the really best medicine and healthcare while you're in there. You can trust and believe that. If you got some serious heart problems, I'm sorry, you ain't getting no top notch cardiologist to look at you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get the most least possible care they can get by with. But there should be an acceptable standard of care across the board. Because listen, the main punishment is to remove a person from the general public. Your punishment is confinement.
Right.
And we really want to punish somebody is, you put them in solitary confinement. And so there should be a standard of healthcare, food, that's it, because that alone, days, weeks, month, year after year, that's I don't know anybody who's saying though I love jail. But I know, like, brother, bro, people go in there so they got a place to stay for the winter time, but that ain't normal. But I think it should be a standard of care generally across the board.
Okay. All right. What about you, Brother Al?
Bread and water. That's it. You have all the water you want, and here's a loaf of bread that you have to cook. No, I think honestly, I think it should be decent food. Nothing crazy like you getting steak and all that. It should cafeteria food like they get the kids. It's the same thing they get the kids in the cafeteria. It's nutritionist. Most of the kids don't like it, but it's nutritionist. And some of the kids do eat it, and that's what they should get. I understand that there are some people who are in prison and they don't belong. When Angie was talking about that, the first person that jumped to my mind was the boxer. Remember the Hurricane? Denzel Washington played him in the movie.
Hurricane
Carter,
Carter,
yeah, Hurricane Carter. He did all that time, and he was innocent. So I do get that. So I think the food should be decent and nutritious. We saying do this and healthcare and all this stuff, but again, that money comes out of our pocket. And I don't feel I should be paying for no criminal. You out here doing things, a lot of people don't see it until it happens in your backyard. Wow, he killed that kid or he did that. And then boom, he killed your kid. You thinking totally different now. He shouldn't eat nothing. So I look at that whole side of that. What if that was my kid that he killed? You know what I'm saying? Would I be sitting there saying, oh yeah, he should have a decent meal? No, I don't want him to eat. I want him dead. You killed my child. You think about it. A lot of times we don't think harsh on something unless it happens in our backyard.
True.
But I think that they should have a decent meal. I do believe that it should be a decent meal and nutrition. That's about it.
Okay.
Ain't no snacks. Ain't no snacks. I like Denzel Washington shoe program. 23-hour lockdown.
Okay. What about TV? What about gym? What about not library, because they all need to be reading, but the TV and the gym, is that something that should be included because they need some rec? Pastor Jeff?
You have to include that because idle mind is the devil's workshop. You'll have complete mayhem in there, rioting and fighting, killing, like never before. You have to have those things. You can't
Okay.
you can't leave a person, without, occupying his mind. You understand?
Okay. Okay. What about you, brother Al?
I'm gonna have to fire Pastor Jeff from his warden job. He's starting to get soft on us now. He started off
Remember,
strong.
I used
He
to be a
started off
correct I used to
strong.
be a correction officer. You had to give them that entertainment, otherwise they're gonna focus on you.
No, I'm messing with you. I would say yes, though. I think they do, because even like in the really big security prison where people are locked up for 23 hours, they do get 1 hour out. So I would say yeah. They do need a little recreation, and not when you want to. You can't go watch TV when you want to. Like, okay, this time to this time is TV. That's it. Which I think they probably do. But yeah, I think they need that little bit of recreational time.
Okay. Okay. What about you, brother Ainsley?
Yeah, I'll say so, but maybe for a different reason. Well, for two reasons. One, like I mentioned, because you really don't want to pay for no health care. So the more healthy they are, as less you got to spend on diabetic and cardiac medication and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So let them stay healthy. So you ain't got to do that. And the healthier they are, the longer they're going to be face confinement and deal with that everyday life of not going out. You know what I'm saying? So you stay healthy so you can stay there longer. And and what? Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. We're wrapping it up now. Let's talk about just the entire process from you being found guilty, not those who are in prison, unjustly and because the system failed them, but you've been found guilty and you're really guilty. And the entire prison experience. What are we saying? have they hit the mark? Do they still need some work? Are they doing things that are benefiting those who are there? If not, what should they be doing? And what should be our concern as just citizens in this nation for the prison system? Should we care? As long as our family or friends are not there, we don't care. Should we be okay with that? And whatever they do, they do. If they get it right, they get it right. If they get it wrong, they get it wrong. What do we care? I ain't in there. My people ain't in there. Is that should how are we wrapping this up? And I'll start with you, brother Al.
I was listening earlier, Pastor. It looked like you did some hard time yourself. But
Your 36 hours was a hard time, brother Al.
I can imagine.
Cheers.
You said you did 13. I did about 7 when I got pulled over. We'll talk about that another time. I did about 7. Wasn't nice. But I do think that us as citizens, we should care. Because again, when that person gets out of prison, it could be one that's something that affects your family, or just say again, talking about a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? He's not getting rehabilitated while he's in prison, and he get out. He's still a pedophile and might grab your child or a neighbor's child. So I think that we should care and we should speak on that. I think the prison system got a lot of work to do, as far as making sure you got the correct evidence to convict somebody, making sure that when they do get in prison, whatever their crime is, it's mandatory that you do this rehabilitation. If not, you're gonna get even a longer sentence. The food, they should have nutritious food, to keep their body correct. And even though, let's say you got somebody that's doing 5 years for just some armed robbery and stuff like that, as doing rehabilitation. Also, okay, let's get you getting out in a couple of years. Let's get you this trade. Let's teach you about work. Let's teach you about how to do customer service, how to do this, how to do that. To rehabilitate these people, so when they come out, you don't have to really fear like that. Because I've seen criminals go in and come out still that same criminal. You just got me off the street for a couple of years. Now I'm coming back out. I'm terrorizing again. You know, and they should see that by the repeat offenders. They do make it all about the money. It's all about the money. There's a certain amount of money you get per person that comes in prison that they get. And it's crazy. And I've seen when we need money, and they'll go in a highly drug infested area and just scoop up a whole bunch of people. They had a movie about it. Scoop up these people. Why? Because these people don't have lawyers. These people can't afford lawyers. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, I got a witness against you. And I know it to be true because it actually happened to my father, which we'll talk about another time, but it happened to my dad. Living in an area, and they scooped up and, hey, we got this person that saw you do this and that. So if you get on stand and you get found guilty, you're going to do 3 years. But if you say, yes, I did it, you'll do a year. So which one would you pick? All right, I'll do that year because I know they're going to find me guilty. So we, as a citizen, need to get more involved. And I think they'll do more for the prison system to make it more of a rehabilitation, to get these people back on the street to act like human beings.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pastor Jeff.
Yes.
How are we wrapping this up?
Well, what is there a specific question to wrap it up, or?
Yeah, like I said, should we care as citizens? Just because we don't have people there, or just because we're not looking to go there, let it be what it be. They're guilty, because we're talking about those who are guilty. We're not talking about those who have been falsely accused, who are in jail unjustly. We're talking about the people who need and should be there because they've done something to be there. What are we saying to our viewers? Get up in there, get out of there. What are we saying to our viewers today?
Everything affects everybody some kind of way. All right, we should care. Okay, because we're all connected, and if you don't care, that don't care will come back to you. As people of God, we definitely should care. Christ died for the pedophile. He died for every sin. The homosexual. He died for everybody. So we should care because he cared. You understand? So yes, we should care. But trust me, just our preaching of the gospel might stop somebody from murdering somebody's child or raping somebody's child. We don't know the effect of it. So yes, every little thing you should care. Even if they're locked down, you should care.
Okay. Thank you. Brother Ainsley, how are we closing this up? How are we wrapping things up for this week?
Like I think everybody else, we should care. We ought to care. Because God, as Pastor Jeff said, God can save all. He's here for everyone, but we should care. Now, just within the scope of the prison system, we need to care, and I would dare say, particularly as African American, Black, because we know injustices happen outside of prison, and injustices happen within prison. Where outside you have police assault, inside you have correctional assault. And we've seen video proof of inmates being unduly, abused. And so we need to care about that. We need to care. Even if the person's not is guilty, there should be a standard of care. We need to care. This is what we're supposed to be about. We're a civilized nation with laws and rules. And this is how we're supposed. If we're going to say that's what we are, we need to be about it. There's a show, I don't know if it's still on. There's a show like prisons in other countries, or how they handle different things and whatnot. And and compared to ours, it would look like more like savage, like a really savage holding areas and stuff like that. So we have a standard. We need to be about that and live by that, and not no say it to say it, but be about it as well. And as a Christian, look, I don't know what the figure is, but God save folks behind the prison walls. Just because you just whatever you do, you may have to serve, do the time for your natural, but spiritually, it's never over. It's never over. As a matter of fact, one of the I was coming up, a pastor, I think it's a pastor who I really became really in awe of. I used to go to me and Brother K, we used to go to his church just to do music, choir thing. But he used to have the Bible study right before. And so we get there early and he was doing the Bible study. And the Bible study used to be interesting. So I started going to the Bible study more so for what I was there going for. But and in talking with him, man, I was like, I like how he expanded on the words. And one thing he explained to me, how he got the word. He said, even though he came up in church, that's not where he got saved. He got saved. He said, man, I was in a jail cell because I murdered a man. I killed the man with my own hands. And God came to me right there. And I was like, I was shocked, and his own testimony and stuff like that. And so God is everywhere. He proves himself no matter where you're at, no matter what the situation is, no matter what you have done. And as Christians, we should have care about our brother man, no matter where they at, what they have done. People still have to, take accountability for their actions, but we need to care. Period. If you don't care, that's a problem. I don't know how as a Christian could you not care about your fellow man? How can, as a Christian, you not care for what's going on for your brothers, your sisters? Beyond what our own race and stuff, we need to care. So I don't think you can have God without. How can you have God? You say you have God without showing that love. That's what it's all about. God is love. So we have to care. I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay. My due time man, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation and sending us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, basketball star and the water and the water.
In the war, y'all take care. Pastor Steph, you stay away from the prison walls.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
All righty. Woo. So, it's definitely something that we need to concern ourselves with. The Bible tells us quite often, how we should treat our fellow man. Love thy neighbor as thyself. And that is so broad, so narrow, but yet so broad, but yet so narrow. And we have an obligation, as the gentlemen have said, we have an obligation to one another. That's not optional. It doesn't say you should think about it. It says love your neighbor as yourself. And, I remember I was speaking to a woman who was a Jehovah's Witness. And they have an extremely, very, very, very strict rules when you commit a sin. And one of the practices is if you commit a sin, you are expected to come to church, but no one is allowed to speak to you. They have a section where the guilty sit and they're ostracized and they're not allowed to integrate or to interact with the rest of the congregation. And I asked her, I said, well, okay, so then what's the point of me coming to church? I might as well stay home. If I'm going to come to church and I'm still going to be by myself, then why am I coming? If I'm coming to church and I'm going to deliberately be ostracized, overlooked, neglected, as though I'm not even there, then what is the point of me coming? Because especially now, and this was before we were doing, this Zooming and all of this stuff was prevalent. If you had, something going on in your church where you had, filming or whatever, that was a plus. But now, it's a norm. But this is before all of that. And I said, well, I can stay home and read my Bible. You just give me my lessons and I just read my Bible, or go somewhere else. Go somewhere else where people are willing to embrace me, even in my sin, even when I made a mistake, even when I misstepped. I said, because forgiveness, God does not treat us like that. He does not treat us like that. So why are we treating other people like that? And I said to her, I said, here was the biggest part for me. I said to her, I said, you have children who are in the prison system. So what happens to them? What happens to them that the day God decides to move in their life and they decide to come to church, but because they've done something, now stage left. We don't have anything to do with you. No one is allowed to speak to you. No one is allowed to even say hello. It was extreme. It was extreme. I said, so what do we do with them? These are your kids. These are your kids. What do you do with them? You've talked to them. You've begged them. You've tried to convince them to come to church, and finally you get them to come to church, and this is how church treats them. What do you do? And I don't think we think about that. Love your neighbor as yourself. Would we want to be treated like that? She had no answer, by the way. Of course you didn't. What answer you got? You don't have no answer. We cannot love that way. We cannot say we love, and yet we don't care what happens to people in prison. We don't care the conditions in which they live. We don't care how they're eating. We don't care, because I don't get health insurance out here, so why should they get health insurance in there? And that's a common, expression. People feel that way. People feel, hey, I got to pay for my gym memberships, but they get gym memberships for free. I got to pay for my cable, but they get cable for free. And like, brother Pastor Jeff said that, listen, we just got to do that to keep them, mentally occupied. Do we give them 139 channels? Maybe not. Do we get them, all the absolute best equipment? Maybe not. But there are responsibilities that we have, because not everybody is at a place in their life because they have gotten themselves there, in a sense. If you understand what I'm saying. We do stories here every day, where, look at the woman the other day with the 8 kids, who the children were home tending to themselves while she was out committing robberies. What happens when she's in the home? How does she love every one of them? I just got finished reading some confessions of, where there was a parent who told one of their kids that they didn't like the oldest child. They had an abortion before, that child was born, and that first child they really didn't care for. So how does that child get treated? How does that affect them in life? Do they now begin to mistreat other people, and that hatred leaves the home, and Now they become bullies, and so that's what I mean when I say they have not necessarily gotten there on their own, because we have people who come from two-parent households where they're breaking their neck and working and doing everything that they need to do, but yet the child is determined to rebel for whatever the reason is. They are misbehaving, they are criminalistic. So everybody has their own mind, because the same way you have children who are unloved, they are miraculously on the other side of the fence. They do not treat others the way they were treated. So, we don't know what God will do, and how God handles and what God allows and so forth and so on. So people in jail, are they necessarily there because they were in great condition and they just opted to do something different? You can be a product of your environment. So we have to care, because ultimately we don't know the origin. We don't know what they've gone through. We have no idea, but we're charged to love. And even Jesus himself, had to tell, the group, when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was, thirsty, you didn't give me anything to drink. When I was in prison, you didn't come visit me. And they were like, well, I don't remember you being in prison, Lord. I don't remember you being hungry, Lord. I don't remember you being thirsty, Lord. And I didn't care for you. He said, when you didn't do it for your brother, you didn't do it for me. So there's definitely an obligation we have, that we cannot love God. We cannot love Jesus, who we have not seen, but yet we cannot love our fellow man. That's there separately. That's a separate challenge. How can you love me who you have not seen, but not love who you have seen? We hate crime so much that we hate the criminals. And we have to definitely look at things more broad, more broad than what we do. We have that obligation. What happens the day we fall? I just got finished telling you I got arrested for something that I didn't do, something that I would never consider doing, but they had me to fill quotas. They had me, and I had to suffer through it. I had to suffer through it. I mean, it's a spiritual issue as well, because it was, God gave me my Jonah experience. You tell me no? Okay. Try this. Try this. So, I gotta look, even just that process right there. I didn't have to spend any time in jail, prison, whatever you want to call it. But that process, that 36-hour process, was enough for me to definitely understand what on the inside, just a snapshot. And if I didn't care, which was not the case at all, but was I paying close enough attention as well? I may not have been at the point where I didn't care and let chips fall where they may, they guilty or whatever, but also that God would use me now for his glory. And I could honestly say I've seen a snapshot of what the inside looks like, what people can go through. And now if I have to minister to a certain group of people, I can. So God allows things for many reasons. But at the end of the day, we need to pay attention and we need to care. I love the way Pastor Jeff put it. We're all connected. By no shape, form, or fashion, we are all connected. And if we don't care, it becomes detrimental to who we are. It is not just, it's me and my family, and that's it. Let them do what they do. We do what we do. We have an obligation. And we cannot please God if we don't. Do we have to visit the system all the time and blah 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 blah? No. But what can you do? What is your position that you must play? We cannot be dismissive, we cannot ignore, and we must care. Like I said, in the very beginning, I have my feeling about, this whole, Diddy behavior, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? If honestly this behavior stemmed from your alcoholism, your drug abuse, and all of this kind of stuff, then this 500-hour, 9-month intensive, rehabilitation program can make you a better person, can turn you around. Only God can do the ultimate job, but you get my point. Then listen, let him have it. Let him have it. Give him the option. We do not owe him anything. He did what he did. What putting the drugs in your body was on you. So, you got to have to deal with the consequences. However, we need to plan to get these people rehabilitated. If they opt out, then they opt out. But we should, because again, we don't know everyone's origin. We cannot speak for everyone's beginning. We don't know what God will use, who God will use to put that person on the right path, and that they can be better citizens in society. Can you imagine this person becoming rehabilitated, the influence that he could possibly have once he's on the outside? Not will, because we don't know, but could. For all the people who, he didn't do something no bad, and he turned, he allows God to turn his life around. Imagine the impact he could possibly have. That's what we need. That's what we need. Because it definitely reverberates into our space. If you're a teacher, it reverberates into your space. That makes your job easier or harder. DMV, it makes your job easier or harder. You deal with a bunch of angry people, they have to be behind plated glass. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything reverberates right back into our lap in some shape, form, or fashion. So let's care. Let's give the love of God to everybody. It doesn't look the same coming from me as it will coming from you. But love is love. When it's genuine, when it's real, when it's raw, it can move mountains. So let's make that our practice. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the men, for sending us into a thought-provoking weekend. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping this chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to just grab Jesus right now. Make sure you choose him as the head of your life right now, because later is not promised to us. If you already have, please strengthen the relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. No matter how much you think you've got it right, we can always do better. So strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now. Until Monday, God spares, where we'll be shaking the Monday morning blues all over again. Until then, I love